I'm going to stand to your left. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Kick it.
It's going to be up there.
Anywhere. You sing. Okay, but we're starting to. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here is one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here is one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw
I am going to take advantage of this moment on the microphone to introduce the brand new Spirit Choir. This is an endeavor of mine. It's kind of the 1-hour choir redone. So I'm calling it the VUU Spirit Choir. We do first Sundays. Come at whenever I tell you, 9:25, 9:30. We'll learn a song. We'll sing it that Sunday. So all the singers out there, y'all come next first Sunday in April. Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Amanda Schneider, she, her, and I will be one of helping with the worship this morning. We were originally scheduled to have Reverend Sarah Oglesby-Dunnigan leading the service today with Interim Director of Faith Formation, Sarah Sauter. Unfortunately, Reverend Sarah is still out sick with the flu. She hopes to be back soon. So could we take a moment to collectively send her some thoughts or good energy for her healing? Thank you. Now, as you may or may not have heard, or if you have skirted past Joel in the front foyer, we are fully into our pledge drive season, where we're all asked to commit to a certain level of financial giving for the coming year. A question was posed in the happenings this week that asked, how is giving linked to trust? And when I read that, I was struck by this very simple question and the importance of it. Before we give our time, our energy, our financial support, we first trust. We trust that the values we hold important will be carried out by this congregation, by our staff, by our committees, by all of us. We trust in the longevity of this congregation and its commitment to nurturing our spiritual growth, creating a space of belonging and safety, and equipping us to do the critical social justice work needed in the world. Trust is what allows us to give, and giving is what allows this congregation to thrive. For me, this space is a reminder of that trust. Trust that we will show up for one another. Trust that our values, compassion, justice, and love, will continue to guide us. So thank you for being here and for bringing your presence, your energy, and your gifts to this shared space this morning. If you are visiting us today, we want to extend an extra warm welcome to you. We're so glad you're here. If you feel comfortable and without any pressure, please stand briefly so we can greet you more fully after the service. Thank you. Now, if you are new and you're new to VUU, you're new to Unitarian Universalism, we usually have a welcome circle after service where you can briefly learn more. We have a little bit of a different situation today. We've got a soup lunch. It's a coming-of-age fundraiser, soup and salad, that supports our 13 teenagers that will be heading to Boston in May to explore the beginning of Unitarian Universalism. So please plan to stick around, get some soup and salad, and visit with other congregants and learn more. Each week, trained pastoral care associates are available for anyone needing support or a listening ear. This Sunday, our pastoral care will be provided by Dan Schulte in the sanctuary. Thank you, Dan. And Claudette Wassil online. Dan will be up here after this service if you would like a listening ear, and Claudette will provide instructions for how to get in contact with her. And they'll be responsible for pastoral care this following week. Caring Neighbors works to foster a loving and caring community in which VUU members and friends nurture, support, and assist each other through life's joys and trials with things like meals, social gatherings, and occasional rides. They can be reached at caringneighbors@vuu.org. And before we finish, could we say a quick welcome? I forgot this. We have people joining us online through YouTube, so if we could give them a quick wave of welcome. I believe Reverend Sarah's on there too, so good morning, guests and Reverend Sarah. All right. And yes, please plan to stay after, have some soup lunch, and then we do have a congregational conversation as well. So with that, let's move into our service. Please join me with our chalice lighting words. We kindle this flame, symbol of our faith, for the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of love, which calls us to work for justice. We come together with our tired minds and bodies, with our confusion and questions, our uncertainties and our fears. We come together with our hopes, with our pasts and our ideas, our passions and our faith. We come together bringing all of who we are, trusting that in gathering we will be renewed and that together we can create the world we long for.
I'm going to invite the Spirit Choir forward to help lead. I'm Lynn, this is Beth, Rebecca, Mandy, Eileen, Evan, and a cool band with Felix on piano, Ken on harmonica, Pat on bass. I wrote bass guitar, my apologies. And Tom on drums. So it's a full house today with music. So, hit it. We're going to go. Please rise. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love that rose in the winter time. Come
morning, congregation. My name is Sarah Sauter, and I am your interim director of faith formation, and I would like the little congregants to please come forward for our time for all ages. Have a little seat up here under the very cool microphones. Come on, come on. You can bring your person with you if you want. That'd be totally fine. Because I'm going to tell you a story about two brothers. And their names were Jake and Peter. Jake and Peter were exactly alike. Everyone said so. They were twins born just a few moments apart, and they were always together, and they did everything together. They both loved oranges and the color orange. They slept in a bedroom that had orange covers on them. They had 2 orange cats, and they also had 2 crocs that they loved, orange cats, Mr. Juice and Clementine. They had 2 moms, Mommy and Mama. Jake and Peter woke up at the same time. They both ate Cheerios for breakfast. They both loved orange juice, but always in the clear glasses, not the blue ones, because when you put orange juice in the blue glasses, they turn a weird color. The orange turns weird. Jake and Peter were exactly the same, or so they thought. One morning, Jake and Peter woke up at the same time as they always had for 5 years, and seeing them both at the table, Mommy opened the cupboard to get the juice glasses, and that's when her phone rang. That's when it always rings. It was Mama, so Mommy answered the call. She grabbed 2 glasses quickly and poured the orange juice into the glasses and then disappeared around the kitchen wall to talk to Mama. Jake and Peter looked at the orange juice in the glasses. They looked at each other. Slide, please. Mama had used the blue glasses, and the orange juice looked green. But there was something else. Mommy had filled the glasses halfway. Jake looked at Peter and said, "My orange juice glass is only half full." But Peter looked at Jake and said, "My orange juice glass is half empty." Just then, Mommy came back in the room, and she took one look at the faces on the boys and said, "What's up?" First, Jake said, "The orange juice is a weird color." Well, they both said that at the same time. But then Peter said, "The glass is half empty." "Nah," Jake said, "the glass is half full." "Half empty," said Peter. "Half full," said Jake. "What does this mean?" They both asked Mommy. They said it at the same time, of course. "We always do and see things the same." Jake started the first part of that sentence, and Peter finished it. "Well," said Mommy, "what this tells me is that Jake is Jake and Peter is Peter. You both love our orange cats, but Mr. Peter named one Mr. Juice, and then Jake named one Clementine. You do not always have to do the same things at the same time." Peter and Jake thought about this, and after a moment, Jake said, "Yeah, sometimes when I wake up, I just lie there watching for Peter to wake up." And then Peter said, "Yeah, sometimes I would rather have Cinnamon Toast Crunch instead of Cheerios." Mommy looked at her 2 boys. She thought about how Jake saw the glass half full. She imagined Jake grown up and a teacher. His positive attitude would do him well there. She looked at Peter and how he saw the glass half empty, but because he saw problems before anyone else did, but he always was the one to pitch in to fix them. He might make a great attorney. But Mommy didn't say these things. What she said was this: as time goes by, Jake will become more Jake, Peter will become more Peter. And I bet, she continued, that sometimes Peter will do things without Jake, and I'll bet Jake will do things without Peter. And when you grow up together, I hope you will still love and trust and respect each other, even when you do not always see things the same way. That's wonderful. Peter and Jake looked at each other. "Full," said Jake. "Empty," said Peter. "Orange," said Mama. And both boys said that at exactly the same time. So now let's go to our classes and get our candles.
We're going to sing This Little Light of Mine. Do you remember from last week I taught you the motions? This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And then everywhere I go, I'm going to let it shine. And then building up a world, I'm going to let it shine. Okay? So, here we go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
As we transition and move into this time of centering, let's take a moment to settle into a new energy for the rest of our service. Maybe plant your feet on the floor. Feel how the floor supports you, your chair. Let's take just a few moments to take some breaths together. Our centering words today are from Rosemary Watola Trommer. Now, since I've tasted trust in life, why would I ever slip again into armor? The armor of an insincere smile, sometimes as dangerous as the armor of a sword. Why would I ever try to know what to say, how to act, how to plan, when? With zero effort of my own, life itself will move through me, will rise up in me to meet itself. Of course, like the child I am, I forget this trust. I slip back into habit, believe I need protection, fear I am isolated. But I have fallen in love with life at a time when that might seem impossible. And this strange fact alone seems enough to remind me to ditch the armor, to cast wide my arms, to unsheath my heart and say, yes, life, I trust you. I serve you. Why would I not trust life? It would be like a seed evading the rain, like a sunflower just unfurling, trying to avoid the sun. As we move into our centering music, please feel free to take part in one of our rituals or all of them. Please feel free, we can light a candle, write some words in the book, add water to our fountain, or place a stone in the sand.
I know my fear will
I'm excited.
You are?
Yep.
Tell me, why?
Because March is the traditional month for the pledge campaign, and ours is officially kicking off today.
Ooh, that excites you? You must have a different experience with church pledge drives than I do.
Well, it does excite me because the most important part of the beginning of a pledge campaign is taking a look at all the awesome things that we're currently doing and what we plan to do and what we're looking forward to.
Well, that's true. I think that would be fun.
I'll tell you what wasn't fun, and that was listening to the news this week.
I know. It's so hard.
Oh, it is so hard.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find ways to get involved with people who are standing up for our democracy and the people being harmed by it.
I know. There's so much going on out there.
Really? Tell me.
Well, wait. Before we start talking about what's happening out there, I'm interested in talking about what we're doing in here.
Okay.
So, kind of like the way that we are changing how we are welcoming people, and we're people looking for a community that shares our values.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah.
We are taking better care of those people, and we're staying in touch with our visitors. Our new membership team chairperson, Doug Nitzel, where are you, Doug? Woo! Right there in the back, has told us that we have welcomed over 40 visitors in VUU this past couple of months, 17 just in February alone. Yeah. Oh my God. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, Sarah, what are you doing? Hold on.
I'm buying new chairs for Sanctuary.
Okay, well, slow your roll. Slow your roll. Okay, let's raise some money first.
Oh, okay. I guess that's a good idea. So, how much money do we need to raise?
We need to raise around $475,000.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it is, but there is good news. There's a good part.
What is that?
Well, we are thrilled to announce that we've already raised more than half of our goal.
Woo!
For those of you out there who've already pledged, if you feel comfortable, raise your hand so we can honor your generosity. Woo! All right, way to go.
Yay! Well, we are half full for sure. It reminds me of the story I just told about Jake and Peter. Our pledge is definitely half full.
Yes, half full, of course. We're VUUs. That's what we do here. We do lots of positive things here.
Like what?
Well, I can say there are lots of things. The first and most important thing is that together, our time together in this faith community is where our shared values are both nurtured and strengthened, and it provides with energy, drive, and commitment to do important work.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's no doom scrolling here. Nope, we don't do that here at VUU. We are fed right here at VUU to do good work in the community, and both as a faith community and as individuals, as an engaged force for positive change.
Do you hear her?
Woo! Right. We continue our service to the community by providing shelter and serving meals right here in this very room with our iHelp program, with partnering with Ascend.
Applaud! Advance the slide.
Yeah. We are collaborating with the UUA staff on April 5th for a workshop to help us create new program vision for lifespan faith formation.
Everybody say yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes. Next year, we will engage in interim work in music and create a new programmatic vision for VUU's music ministry.
Woot! Woot!
We have expanded our membership team to put visitors on a pathway to membership as part of our beloved congregation.
Welcome all.
We are expanding our role in holding up democracy through UU the Vote.
Democracy.
We are working in concert with Adams Elementary through our project and Partners in Education to support school children who need extra help learning English and helping them get the support they need in enriching their supplemental experiences.
That's right. That's right.
And rather than vilifying our immigrants, we support them in our immigrant action team, championing families and assisting them in their journey as asylum seekers and refugees, and helping organizations in Phoenix that also provide services to those immigrants.
Join together! Join together!
Yes. We are joining hands with all faiths in our work with Valley Interfaith Project, VIP.
Woo! Tell me more!
Right? To build power in the Valley around issues that impact our shared future, like affordable housing, mental health care, community safety, and immigrant rights.
Sing it! Sing it!
Yes. We are standing up for those affected by the dismantling of the DEI programs and the scapegoating of our transgendered youth.
Woo! We are awesome, people!
We support organizations like Arizona Trans Youth Parent Organizations and 1 in 10, and we're developing relationships right here in Chandler by showing up at the Chandler Pride Festival and the Chandler Multicultural Festival. We want VUU and our community to be places where everyone is included. No one stands alone.
Yes, sing it!
And then we have VUU Jazz.
Who Jazz?
Exactly. It's our social justice roundtable that meets every month to share what we're working on and to engage others in new ideas and work.
Cool.
That is VUU Justice Arizona. Just us showing up and getting together and making things happen. And by the way, Sarah.
Yes, Kitty?
Remind me how many kids we have certified to the UUA this year.
Oh, that one I know. 120.
That's amazing! That's awesome. It's awesome.
It is awesome.
It is awesome.
And you know what? You know how many parents that is?
Well, I know a few of the parents.
Well, it's 70.
70, I don't
70 adults. And there's about 20 or so other parent visitors that are just trying us on for size. And we're working hard to provide ways for new visitors to get connected with us.
For instance?
Well, VUU is doing more events like today's Soup Lunch. While the Soup Lunch does raise money for coming of age, it also is a service to the congregation. It gives visitors and established members both a chance to sit together, talk, eat, and share how we are each practicing our values. Sing it. That was part of the plan.
It was?
Yes. Since the election, people are flocking to us to find a place where they can belong. They are looking for a place among people that share our values.
We are those people.
Speaking of people who have been living our values and who've stuck with us as a congregation through thick and thin, I want to introduce one of those people. I'm talking about Mary Erickson. Some of you might not know Mary. Mary is not someone who seeks the spotlight. I consider Mary to be a dear friend. She's someone who's always there for the congregation. She sings in the choir. She's been an integral part of the aesthetics team that made a lot of decisions about how to make sure this place looks as amazing as it looks. She was an integral part of the sanctuary transformation team. And she has served on, this is such a long list. She's served on the board of trustees, the policy committee, the assessment committee, the current music steering committee, among many others. She's taught classes and done events for our fund, FUUND drive. She often says she's a lifelong teacher, and I would say from knowing her that she is also a lifelong learner. When we invited Reverend Sam Wilson last year to come spend a year teaching us about transforming conflict, Mary stepped up to learn and said yes to the possibility of transformation. Mary is the kind of person who asks questions and listens closely to the answer, spends some time thinking before she asks another question, and is willing to change her mind after reflecting on something. She does not have to get the credit. She doesn't ask for credit. She likes to get things done. She is generous of heart and with other resources, and she has been a VUU member since October of 2001. So I'm also part of the team that's leading the pledge campaign, and I don't have permission to say what the total is in numbers, but I will tell you this, that for years, Mary has given more financial to this congregation than pretty much anyone in the last 23 years, excluding those people who've given endowments. Thank you. While Mary's true impact is not always known, she doesn't seek the spotlight, she's always said yes when she's been asked to help. She's always been in agreement with what was happening, or has not always been in agreement with what was happening or why it was happening. And things haven't always gone the way she would have wanted them to go, but she has been willing to see things from another's perspective and to consider a new way forward. I know we tend to shy away from naming someone a wise elder, partly because nobody wants to be an elder, apparently. But Mary, if I ever get to be an elder in this community, I hope I'll be as wise, humble, compassionate, and generous as you are. I also hope I can be as effective in getting things done. So Mary, we want to thank you for your unwavering support, your deep generosity, and your willingness to stick with our congregation through thick and thin. Thank you. Mary hasn't done this alone, of course. There's a lot of us, a lot of you out here who've contributed in many ways. And through the month of Pledge campaign, we are going to recognize all the people and all the ways that they have given to this congregation to sustain it. Many that we mentioned earlier and some that got left out because there's just not enough time to list all the ways we show up together to create a community and live our values in the world. As I call out the ways we make VUU a beautiful community that lives its mission, please stand if you have been involved or could see yourself involved in one of these ways. How many of you have, we've already asked how many you have pledged, how many you have taught religious education programs?
Volunteer.
How many of you have sung in the choir?
Oh, stay standing.
How many of you have served on the board or the finance team or special funds or any of the other organizations that lead our congregation? All of you have contributed in so many ways, and through your financial generosity and through your personal contributions of your time and your treasure and your talents, we thank you.
Katie, that was fun.
It was.
Can we take another moment? Because when I came here, I was really impressed with the vision statements this congregation set forth many years ago. And I'd like to take a moment and just read them aloud and get reconnected with them. These are the words that help define our community and the people within it. Can you help me with that, Katie?
I would be honored.
Awesome.
So, it begins like this. We are a vibrant, inclusive community, inspired by many spiritualities and theologies, caring for one another through life's challenges, and bending the moral arc of the universe toward justice.
We challenge each other to discover, experience, and be transformed by the deep and mysterious. Slide.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
We cultivate our inclusive community through radical hospitality and nurturing. Yes, we do.
We prioritize intergenerational experience through increased investment in the faith formation of the next generation.
Yes, we do. We engage in partnerships to counter systems of oppression, create a just, sustainable, and healthy world.
We are an innovative congregation growing Unitarian Universalism in concert with our UUA partners. Next slide.
Yes, we are.
We are.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
My name is Joel Sanis. I use he, him pronouns, but every time I say that, I also say I'm also okay with they. I'm the substitute for Reverend Sarah. Also, when I do this, I say I'm not a professional, and I'm a slim substitute for Reverend Sarah. We're all sympathetic with Reverend Sarah and hope that she recovers. Hope she's watching. Hello, Sarah. I hope you're doing better. Some people just radiate joy. It's almost like sunshine or heat. They laugh easily. They make other people feel comfortable. They can talk to almost anyone. They have this aura about them, and I find it amazing. There are a lot of folks in this crowd today who are like that and who are online. It's like if there was the equivalent of a joy quotient to an intelligent quotient, they would be in the 140s. Mensa for joyful people, joy geniuses. We're not all like that. I'm not like that. Exactly half of my heritage genetically is from Scandinavia. Yeah. So I'm a mix of Norwegian, Danish, and Swede, but once you get back there, you realize it's just Scandinavian because there's so much movement in that area. So personally, I use that as an excuse. Yeah, go Viking, yes, yes. Sometimes friends or family might ask me why I look so irritated or gloomy, and I tell them, oh, it's nothing. It's just my resting Norwegian face. But the thing for me is I know my genetics aren't really an excuse. I have some cousins, 2 cousins in particular, and one of whom I'm discussing right now, who has all of my Scandinavian genetics on half of the family, and then probably more on the other half on the family. And this week I see on Facebook, I see her post those, maybe some of you are familiar with this if you're on Facebook, I Stand for Ukraine posts after the event at the White House with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. So my cousin, she posted this I Stand with Ukraine thing that lots of us posted. I posted it, and she apparently has stayed friends with people who I've no longer friends with on Facebook. And she gets back the usual insults from her friends. One of them is libturd, which was a new one to me, L-I-B-T-I-R-D. It was libturd, Evan. And the reason I made that point is at least they were polite enough to not use the ableist version of that insult. And then she got the other insults. She was a Marxist, she was a communist, she was a socialist, she hates America, yada, yada, all the things that we are familiar with. So I wanted to jump into that chat and tell people as they should that they should mind their manners. At the very least, mind your manners. I was going to quote them one of my favorite quotes, which is Mrs. Ladybug from James and the Giant Peach, where Mrs. Ladybug says, "They were being very rude. I can't abide rudeness." But my cousin, she didn't respond. She did ask what the definition of libturd was. And then she engaged a little bit with facts and asked for a definition of that word, and then denied being one of those words. She has that wondrous sense of joy that I've known for her whole life. So being called these names really didn't affect her one bit. I think mostly joy is a symptom, not necessarily a personality trait. And the first thing people need to be joyful is trust. Trust that the things that you enjoy and the people you love and the values that you hold are still going to be there through challenging times. Trust that even if there are 100 things on your worry list, there is something stable in our lives that we can rely on. So I was working on Friday. I'm an attorney, and I was doing a deposition online, but I've got one of these Apple Watches that my family got me as a gift. And so it pops up that there's some news of what happened at the press conference. After I was done with the deposition, I watched what happened online. I got on as soon as the deposition was over. What could possibly have happened that could be worse than has happened this month? And I was astounded, flabbergasted, embarrassed, whatever word best describes witnessing a moment where everything goes wrong. So my guess is most of you have seen it. We're a very politically oriented group. But for those of you who didn't, what happened in the Oval Office, our house, President Trump and Vice President Vance had invited Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to an event where I'd read about this before. Apparently, President Zelensky was going to sign an agreement giving the United States access to Ukrainian rare earth materials, the things that power our phones and our technology and our smart cars. And it was supposedly as compensation for the United States' support of Ukraine in defending the war that Russia started in February of 2022. I'd previously read earlier in the week that President Trump said that Ukraine started the war. I was there. I watched. That is not what happened. The meeting was coercive to begin with. It was the United States imposing a blunt form of imperial rule requiring another country to agree to give the U.S. access to natural resources. And from what I had read in the news, Zelensky was prepared to sign that agreement. But it devolved into an argument that started with President Zelensky. This is how it started. President Zelensky questioned whether diplomacy with Russia can be effective when Russia does not keep the commitments it made through diplomatic negotiations. President Trump and Vice President Vance took turns interrupting the president of a sovereign nation and telling the president of a sovereign nation that he was not appropriately grateful to President Trump. So watching that was more than a concern about world politics. It was a breakdown in etiquette. I forgot my prop. Years ago, we were in Old Town Bookstore in Mesa, which is a wonderful bookstore with used books, and we bought this copy of Emily Post's etiquette book, published in 1922. Emily Post's etiquette advises, and this is quoting, "Be careful not to let amiable discussion turn into contradiction and argument. The tactful person keeps the prejudice to himself, and even when involved in a discussion says quietly, 'No, I don't think I agree with you.'" This is true in business and politics. In a chapter on that subject that Post wrote of the folly, she writes of the folly of a person. You might find this familiar. Consoling himself with the thought that his own crudeness is strong and manly and American. Watching the video of the event, I felt like it was an out-of-body experience. It was similar to my experience where I watched Canadian fans of hockey boo the United States national anthem at the beginning of the Four Nations National Hockey League tournament. Similar to my experience when I heard that European leaders were meeting to say that we need a new leader of the free world. Similar to my experience hearing about the layoffs, the immigration raids, this pretend story about bias and discrimination against Christians and Christianity, the attack on transgender citizens, and the corporate capitulation to ending diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And so while I was feeling this out-of-body experience, I remembered a movie that goes back to 1998. It's called The Truman Show. The film depicts the story of Truman Burbank, who's played wonderfully by Jim Carrey, a man who is unaware that he is living his entire life on this colossal soundstage and that it is being filmed and broadcast as a reality television show, and it has this huge international following. All of his friends, family members, and other members of the community are paid actors whose job it is to sustain the illusion and keep Truman unaware about the false world he inhabits. So Truman was a joyful person. If you've ever seen the movie, at the start of the movie, he comes out of his house and one of his neighbors says, "Good morning." And his signature line when people greet him and he says, "Good morning," and this is the signature line from the movie that comes up at the end, is, "In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night." He's such a happy and joyful person. And the reason was, at that point, Truman had trust in his world. But eventually, during the course of the movie, his trust starts to crumble. He starts to notice things. Right at the start, a stage light falls down from the sky. And then a little bit further in the movie, the producers and the directors try to make him leave the beach where he's meditating and thinking about his life by raining on him, and they accidentally bring the rain down just where he is. So he moves out of the rain follows him, moves out of the rain follows him, and then finally they just let the deluge come. There's a Volkswagen Beetle that drives past his house at the same time every day. So when his trust in reality is depleted, he acts. He digs a tunnel in his basement secretly, and despite obstacles in his way, he escapes to the real world. While he's sailing to get out of this false world, the director and the producer tries to capsize his ship. But Truman had an innate sense, despite living his entire life in this false world, of free will, that even when there are things to worry about, we can fix them. We can start digging a tunnel out of a basement and emerge into the beauty of the real world. In less than a month, we've seen such drastic changes to how we have been accustomed to how the world operates, how the United States treats its allies, how we treat immigrants, the poor and marginalized. The very idea, an attack on the very idea that all individuals are entitled to dignity and free will. So I've been thinking of the Truman Show while it has been happening and wondering, is it possible that this is all just me in the role of Truman and none of this is happening and the world is watching me, wondering how I am reacting to all of this? I ask myself, how can this be real? For some of us, the current state of the world is just a disruption to our paradigm. To others, it is a real threat to their livelihoods, their personal safety. How are we supposed to care for ourselves and for others in these unprecedented times? We can rely on institutions that are not changing, that have been here for decades, and that will be here through difficult issues and difficult times, and where we can collectively act to protect our values. So, little known fact, VUU, we're a church congregation, but we're also a nonprofit organization. Almost any church or congregation will file articles of organization as a nonprofit corporation with the Arizona Corporation Commission. That's one of the first steps to receiving tax-exempt status. So if you're ever interested, you can go online and use in your browser Arizona Corporation Search. As an attorney, I use it almost every day to track down corporations, who the statutory agent is, who the officers are, who the members or shareholders are. And if you do that, you will see that VUU has been a nonprofit corporation since it filed its articles of organization on May 27th, 1965. And then you will also see that we are a institution that operates like an institution. We have filed annual reports with the Corporation Commission every year since 1966, the first year that we were required to do that. So the technical anniversary of Valley Unitarian Universalist Congregation is going to come up on May 27, 1965, and we will be celebrating our 60th year as a congregation. So that'll happen at the end of May, and that's just before the annual meeting we have in June, where members vote democratically to continue the congregation as a legal entity with a budget and a mission for the next year. So think about it. How many institutions have come and gone since 1965? Sears, Kmart, Mervyn's, my beloved Tower Records, Bethlehem Steel. This year, Walgreens has announced that it is going to close 500 stores across the nation in 2025. And of course, the Republican Party, as we know it, has disappeared. So your pledge to VUU is a pledge that reaches back, it has impact in the present, and is a bridge to the future. It reaches back to 1965 because it honors and continues the commitments of the founders of this that the founders of this congregation made. I'm lucky enough that I'm sort of in this bridge group. I joined the congregation in the year 2000, so I met some of the members who founded this congregation. They were in their 90s at the time that I met them. Your pledge has an impact in the present, which will be to continue the programs and social justice work we have planned for the year. And your pledge is a bridge to the future, so that when all of the current events are behind us and we look back in shame at what was allowed to happen, and these events are temporary, the irrationality and anger driving these events will subside, and we as a congregation will emerge stronger, and the state and the country will emerge stronger as well. The point is that VUU is an institution that you can trust. Thanks to our members who contributed last year and renewed or increased their pledges, we are more than halfway, as we mentioned, to the goal that we project will be needed to continue in our work for the next year. And then, of course, we are formally kicking off the pledge campaign to ask those of you who have not pledged to consider making a pledge to support this congregation in an amount that you feel comfortable with. At the end of Truman, the producer, the creator of the show, played by Ed Harris, he's got a beret, he's wearing small glasses. I think of him as the philosopher Michel Foucault, who talked about the theory that institutions are designed to create our personalities, and that they have an effect, that all of our personalities are really a product of our institutions. And Truman asked the director, played by Ed Harris, was nothing real? And Ed Harris's character responds and says, you were real. So despite all the worrying and disturbing developments in our state, in our country, and in the world, you are real. Stay real. Break through to the real. May it be so.
From your lips to somebody's ears.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
offering words this morning are from Reverend Cameron Trimble. What if we trusted that the divine is already at work, weaving beauty even in the uncertainties? What if we trusted that transformation doesn't happen all at once, but step by step, day by day? This transformation does not wait for perfect conditions. It begins in the messiness of the present moment. It begins with people like us, worried, inspired, and sometimes unsure, but willing to take one step forward. As our ushers come forward to take the offering, thank you for your generosity.
Our offertory this morning is a familiar hymn to many of us, so you get to sing the offertory this morning with us. So please rise as you can while the plate is going around and sing.
Our closing words this morning are from Reverend Steve Garnes Holmes. Begin with gratitude for all you have received, that you see and that you do not see.
Let your gratitude grow into trust that you are included in a great wonder, and entrust yourself to the grace you are given.
Let your trust blossom into compassion for all those who are also part of this oneness, who have been excluded, used, or targeted.
Let your compassion flourish into solidarity, knowing you are one with those who suffer and that their wholeness is part of yours.
Let your solidarity bear fruit in justice, working for freedom and fullness of life for all, against all evil and oppression.
And when you are most challenged by the forces of injustice, most weary and discouraged,
Return to gratitude that you are guided, accompanied, empowered, and saved, and entrust yourself to the undying love of God, which here we name in different ways, or not at all, but know always as love.
Our closing song is From This House to the World, We Will Go, Hand in Hand. And the Spirit Choir is going to lead it a couple times and then come in on the part you're most comfortable with. And even in this time of flu and cold, maybe ask your neighbor, is it all right if I hold your hand? Or maybe not.
Please join with us in our words of extinguishing the chalice. Though we extinguish the chalice, our connection to each other and this community remains. May its light guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak the words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet again.